Have you ever imagined waking up in the freezing snow, wearing a wool cap, and just a few hours later, sweating in a t-shirt inside a rainforest? In Nepal, that is daily life. And to make it even stranger, the entire country sets its clock 15 minutes off from the rest of the world. Right now, the streets of Nepal are loud with protests. People are rising against inequality, weak public services, and broken political promises. But before we dive into the reasons for this unrest, let us first look at what kind of country Nepal really island. This nation is small, about the size of New York State, with a population of 30 million, yet it carries more than 100 different ethnic groups. It is wedged between India and China, two superpowers, but it has never been colonized. The climate is extreme. Temperatures can swing more than 30 degrees Celsius in a single day, from icy peaks to humid jungles. The capital, Kathmandu Valley, holds 7 UNESCO World Heritage Sites, where ancient temples and palaces are not frozen in time but still woven into daily life. Nepal is a land of contradictions, breathtaking and unpredictable, and that is why the world keeps turning its eyes toward this mountain kingdom. Stay with us, because what you are about to discover may change the way you see both travel and life itself. Religious harmony and the law of faith. In Nepal, faith does not divide people, it brings them together. Around 80% of the population follow Hinduism, and about 10% follow Buddhism. Yet both communities often gather at the same shrines, light incense at the same altars, and celebrate festivals side by side. You might see a Hindu family and a Buddhist monk bowing together before the same deity, each with their own prayers, but sharing the same moment of reverence. This harmony goes beyond tradition. In Nepal, cows are considered sacred, the living symbol of the goddess Lakshmi, the bringer of fortune and prosperity. Killing a cow is not only seen as a sin, it is against the law, carrying a penalty of up to 12 years in prison. Imagine that, a nation where an animal is granted such protection that it becomes almost like a citizen. At the same time, life must continue, and Nepalese families adapt by eating buffalo meat instead of beef, balancing religious devotion with the practical needs of daily meals. The air of devotion is gentle, but also firm, because here belief is not just personal, it shapes the laws and daily rhythms of society. And when I think about this, I have to ask myself, in our modern world, are we trading away our shared beliefs too easily, just to gain a little convenience? Kathmandu, a living museum by the Bagmati. Have you ever seen a funeral take place right next to a busy market, with incense smoke mixing in the air alongside the smell of street food and the sound of laughter? That is daily life in Kathmandu, the capital of Nepal. The valley here holds 7 UNESCO World Heritage Sites, but they are not locked behind ropes or glass displays. Instead, they stand right in the middle of neighborhoods filled with barbershops, kitchens, and children playing soccer. History is not frozen, it breathes and moves with the people who live among it. And then there is the Bagmati River, where cremations are carried out in the open. Families say their farewells as flames rise, and the ashes are released into the water, a symbolic passage to freedom from rebirth. What surprises visitors most is not the solemnity of the ritual, but the way it blends into ordinary life. Just a few steps away, people buy snacks, chat with friends, or simply pass by on their way home. In Kathmandu, the sacred and the ordinary are like two sides of the same coin, inseparable and constantly visible. And when I think about this, I cannot help but wonder, is it only when we accept death as part of the flow of life that we finally learn how to live more lightly? Sherpa and Lukla, the sport of survival. The runway at Lukla Airport is only 527 meters long, sloping at 12%, perched between mountains where a single mistake can mean disaster. Here, every landing is a gamble, trading one moment of perfect skill for the safety of everyone on board. But long before tourists even reach this point, another group has already carried the weight of their dreams, the Sherpa people. Living for generations at altitudes above 3,000 meters, their bodies have adapted in ways science calls genetic mutation, slower heart rates, more efficient lungs, and a resilience to thin air. For them, the Himalayas are not just peaks to conquer, but home. On expeditions to Everest, it is the Sherpas who carry the tents, the oxygen, the food, and sometimes even the climbers themselves when things go wrong. Without them, many journeys would end halfway up the mountain, swallowed by snow and silence. Meanwhile, Lukla Airport tests a different kind of courage. No radar, no autopilot, no second chances. Only the steady hands and sharp instincts of pilots who have memorized every gust of wind and every curve of the valley. They are aviation ninjas, dancing with danger every time they touch down. If Everest is the proud summit, then Sherpas are the muscle, and Lukla is the heartbeat. And when I think about this, I have to ask. We admire the glory of reaching the top, but do we remember the ones who built the ladder that lets us climb? Women of Nepal and their gentle paradox. Sun-kissed brown skin, high cheekbones, deep eyes, and a soft smile. The women of Nepal carry a beauty that is not loud or showy, but steady and unforgettable. Behind that gentle image lies a strength that has been shaping the nation in ways many outsiders never notice. Nearly 29% of the seats in Nepal's parliament are held by women, the highest proportion in the South Asian region. It is a quiet revolution where political voices rise from villages and valleys to the capital, slowly but firmly changing the face of leadership. In love and family life too, Nepalese women are known to move slowly, to choose carefully, but once they commit, their loyalty and resilience can last a lifetime. In the cities, a growing number of women are marrying foreigners, opening doors to new connections through social media and global travel. Yet in the high mountains, traditions still bend towards survival. There, polyandry and polygamy are not about romance, but about keeping land intact and families secure against harsh conditions. A household with more spouses means more hands to work the fields and more stability in times of loss. This is the paradox of Nepalese women, both traditional and modern, both tender and powerful. Their femininity is clear, but it comes with independence, with the courage to adapt, and with a resilience rooted in the mountains themselves. And when I think about the role of women, I wonder, are we too quick to measure strength only by the loudness of a voice, instead of the quiet endurance that holds an entire society together? Kumari and Tulku, the sacred faces of childhood, a living goddess who must never let her bare feet touch the ground, and a living Buddha who still sucks on a lollipop. In Nepal, the divine often wears the face of a child. The Kumari is a young girl, chosen through sacred rituals to become the earthly incarnation of the goddess Teleju. From that moment, her life changes completely. She lives in seclusion inside an old palace, her days carefully guarded, her steps never allowed to touch the soil of the earth. For the people, she is a goddess in flesh and blood. Yet her divinity is fragile. A single drop of blood, even a lost tooth, is enough to end her sacred role and return her to ordinary life. Then there are the Tulkus, children as young as 3 or 4, sent to monasteries in saffron robes, recognized as reincarnations of great lamas who passed away. They may not yet know the alphabet, but the community bows to them with folded hands, treating them as enlightened masters reborn. The contrast can be striking. A small boy blinking curiously at the world, candy in his mouth, yet receiving homage as if he carried centuries of wisdom. Here in Nepal, mystery and innocence coexist in the same fragile frame. Childhood becomes both divine and constrained, a reminder that faith can lift ordinary lives into the realm of the extraordinary. And when I think about this, I have to ask, does our reverence sometimes steal away the simple joy of a childhood that deserves to be free to play? Mustang Sky Caves, the hanging ghost city, 10,000 caves carved into cliffs more than 50 meters high. Who built them? For what purpose? And in which century? These are the unanswered questions that echo across the remote Mustang region of northern Nepal. Archaeologists who dared to climb into these chambers found mummified remains, faded Buddhist murals, fire pits, and fragments of pottery, signs that real communities once lived here. Yet not a single clear record survives. It is as if an entire chapter of history was torn out and forgotten. Theories abound. Some believe the caves were spiritual retreats for monks seeking silence close to the heavens. Others argue they were high burial sites, meant to lift souls closer to the divine. And some suggest they were secret shelters in times of war, a hidden refuge carved into the bones of the mountain itself. From a distance, the cliff face looks like a giant honeycomb, suspended in the air, a ghost city that refuses to explain itself. Standing before it, you cannot help but feel that Nepal is like a book with missing chapters, forcing us to imagine what was lost. And when I think about this, I wonder, if history leaves behind holes, who among us will step forward to fill them with understanding and compassion instead of silence and forgetfulness? Sky buses, riding the cables across the abyss. No ticket is needed here. only courage and a pair of strong hands. In the remote mountains of Nepal, people cross valleys not by bridges or roads, but by sky buses. Iron baskets hooked onto a pulley, sliding along a steel cable stretched over a drop so deep you can hardly see the bottom. These cableways carry everything imaginable: villagers, sacks of rice, bundles of timber, chickens, goats, and sometimes even coffins. For locals, it is routine, just another trip across the valley. For outsiders, it looks like a scene from an adventure film, except there is no stunt double and no second take. In many places, the system is even simpler, just a pulley attached to a cable and bare hands gripping tight. People launch themselves into the air with no safety harness, no net below, trusting experience and muscle memory to get them to the other side. It is both terrifying and strangely graceful, a human thread woven between cliffs. Every ride feels like a contract between man and mountain, a silent promise that the cable will hold, that the wind will stay calm, and that courage will outlast fear. And when I think about this, I have to ask, are we becoming too dependent on the comfort of modern conveniences, forgetting the basic skills and bravery that once kept our ancestors alive? Honey hunters, trading blood for liquid gold. Imagine dangling from a rope ladder hundreds of meters above the ground, smoke swirling around you, one hand gripping for balance while the other swings a long knife at a giant hive. All the while, furious bees sting relentlessly, hundreds of times over. This is the life of the Gurung honey hunters of Nepal. Each season they climb sheer cliffs in search of mad honey, produced by bees that feed on white rhododendron flowers. The honey is rare, precious, and notorious. In small amounts, it soothes pain and calms the nerves. In larger doses, it can cause hallucinations. On the international market, a single liter can fetch hundreds of dollars, but no price tag can soften the danger. These men work without modern protective gear, trusting only ropes, smoke, and the strength of their bodies. A slip of the foot, a sudden gust of wind, or the swarm of stingers could turn the hunt into tragedy. Yet they return year after year because this perilous harvest sustains their community. Every drop of honey is won through courage and sacrifice, proof that sweetness never comes free. And when I think about this, I have to ask, how much are you willing to risk? How much pain would you endure for just one rare taste of life's sweetness? Festivals, when dogs are gods and people become rainbows. There is a day in Nepal when dogs are treated like deities, garlanded with flowers and fed special meals. It is called Tihar, a festival that also honors crows and cows, celebrating the animals believed to guide souls and protect households. Faith here is not distant. It lives in the wag of a tail and the crow of a bird. Then comes Holi, the festival of colors. Streets turn into living canvases as people toss bright powders at friends, strangers, and anyone passing by. Laughter fills the air, grudges are forgotten, and for a day the entire city feels like a rainbow in motion. What could be more powerful than joy that paints away resentment? And in Pokhara, the celebration rises even higher. During the hot air balloon festival, dozens of bright balloons float over the lake, framing the Himalayas in a scene that feels almost unreal. Looking down from above, the mountains seem softer, as if the whole world has been transformed into a dream. These festivals remind us that happiness does not always need to be grand or complicated. Sometimes it is as simple as honoring a loyal dog, sharing laughter in a cloud of color, or watching the sunrise from the sky. And when I think about this, I wonder, perhaps the most lasting religion is not carved in stone or written in books, but found in the simple rituals of joy that bring people together. Cuisine, Dal Bhat power, 24-hour. A single plate of rice and lentils can keep you going all day, and in Nepal, you often get free refills until you cannot take another bite. This is Dal Bhat, the national dish, simple yet complete, eaten in mountain villages and city homes alike. It is not just food, it is fuel for life in the highlands. Alongside Dal Bhat, there is momo, the Himalayan dumpling filled with spiced meat and vegetables, steamed or fried, and served with a fiery tomato sauce that keeps you reaching for more. On cold nights, people turn to thukpa, a steaming noodle soup rich with broth, vegetables, and sometimes meat, a comfort against the chill of the mountains. And then there are the drinks. Chang, a mild fermented rice beverage, is sipped slowly, warming the body and spirit. Roxy, the stronger cousin, is a clear homemade spirit, often shared at weddings or around the fire after a long day. The flavors are rustic, earthy, and lasting, perfectly matched to the demanding climate. They may not dazzle with luxury, but they linger with honesty and depth. If cuisine were a passport, Nepal would stamp it with simplicity that runs deep. And when I think about this, I wonder, would you rather have a burst of flavor that fades quickly, or a quiet fullness that carries you far on the road ahead? Travel checklist: cheap, beautiful, worth it. 2 weeks at the foot of the Himalayas can cost you less than a handful of fast food meals in the West. That is the magic of Nepal, a country where adventure and affordability walk hand in hand. Meals here are as budget-friendly as they come. For just $1 to $3 a day, you can eat until you are full, with endless refills of rice and lentil soup if you choose Dal Bhat. Accommodation along trekking routes costs about $8 to $10 per night, and some homestays even let you sleep for free if you agree to eat your meals there. Getting around is just as surprising. A local bus ride might cost 20 to 50 cents, while taxis in the city range from $2 to $4. For a full-day tour with a private car around the Kathmandu Valley, you might spend only $25 to $30. Even shopping feels like a secret bargain. A yak wool scarf can be found for $2 or $3, and a warm Sherpa jacket for less than $10. And then there are the destinations. Pokhara, often called the Switzerland of Asia, with its mirror-like lake reflecting the snowy Annapurna range. Janakpur, steeped in the epic Ramayana, believed to be the birthplace of the goddess Sita. And Lumbini, the tranquil site where Prince Siddhartha Gautama was born, now a UNESCO World Heritage Sanctuary for Buddhists from around the world. Nepal proves that you do not need to spend a fortune to see the extraordinary. And when I think about this, I wonder, are we delaying our happiness just because we believe that traveling far must always come at a high cost? Nepal does not try to be different. Nepal simply lives in tune with its nature and its faith, and that is what makes it different. From the highest peaks to the humblest rituals, every part of this country shows us that harmony and resilience can shape an entire nation's identity. In our next episode, we will uncover the steps to getting a Nepal visa and the beginner's guide to conquering the Annapurna trails. Subscribe now so you do not miss a single sunrise in the land that runs on +545. And if you want your clock to follow the rhythm of mountains and clouds, hit like, leave a comment with "yes," and share this video with the friend you want to bring along on the journey.